Hello guys, we have not posted a video in a while. We had the baby. It'll be 2 weeks on Wednesday. Wednesday was my due date, April 4th, but he came 2 weeks early. So today I'm going to be talking about the labor and the delivery and the whole, 9 yards. And I will be inserting a little clip of when Matt got to meet his little brother. So yeah, I know I look a hot mess, like I look tired. But this is the new mom life. You wake up in the middle of the night and you're always tired. So the baby's sleeping. Matt went to the store with my mom, so I just went ahead and recorded this video right now since I'm by myself with the baby sleeping. I really wanted to record this video like a couple days after the baby was born, but I really couldn't talk about it. Like, it was just like very emotional as you can see, but it's better now. So let's get to it. So Monday, March 19th, there was at 11 p.m. there was like a tornado warning, and there was a tornado right by the area where I live. It was bad. Our house, nothing happened to our house, thank God, because as soon as you walk out of our neighborhood, it's like all the houses are super messed up. So we're lucky. Thank you, God, for that. Because, my big old belly, and I was in the closet hiding, and my husband had, like, the windows open. He was like, if we see the wind, we can just, take cover. I was like, really? Come hide in the closet. But anyway, that was Monday night. All Monday, my head had been hurting, like, a whole lot. So, I was watching Matthew's babysitter's kids that day because she had surgery, and I was taking care of them. And since I woke up, I had a major headache and it would not go away. So when my mom got off of work, I called her and I asked her if she could come to the house and look out for the kids so I could go and shower and maybe relax, because maybe I just needed to relax. And she said yeah. So she came and I showered, and when I came out of the restroom, out of the shower, like, I felt better, but it was only for like an hour and a half that I felt better. After that, like, the headache came again, and it was like a pounding headache, like right here in the front. I just felt like I wanted to be laying down. So I didn't take a pill because I didn't have any more Tylenol, and that's basically the only safe thing that you can take during pregnancy. So then Tuesday, my husband didn't go to work because of the tornado thing. Like, some roads were messed up and we couldn't leave our street because the road was blocked, because the power went out and everything. Like, we didn't have any power until like Tuesday around noon. So he didn't go to work on Tuesday, which was good because I still didn't feel good. Like, my head was hurting really, 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 really bad. And then at Tuesday around 5, we went to go drop the kids that we were watching at their house. We went to drop them off because their mom had already gotten discharged from the hospital. And so we went to go take them, and we still needed to like put together the bassinet and the swing for the baby, and that was at my mom's house. So I told my husband, I was like, you know what, let's go take the kids and let's go to my mom's house. So that's what we did. She's like, are you okay? Because you don't look like you feel good. I was like, no, I still got that headache. So she was like, have you taken your blood pressure? And I was like, no. So she has like a blood pressure machine at her house because she has hypertension. So I took my blood pressure and it was a little high. It was like 146/92 or something. And I was like, I never, like, my blood pressure is always like 115/70, 120/80. So I was like, it's a little high. And 2 weeks before, they took my blood pressure at the doctor's office and it was a little high. It was like 136/89. And they retook it because, they wanted me to lay down and relax. So it did go a little down at the doctor's office. So Tuesday, after 30 minutes of checking it the first time, I rechecked it and it was still high. So I was like, what the heck? So what I did is I called the doctor's office. It was like 6:30 already. It was like, the doctor that was on call called me back. Well, actually, it was the midwife. And I told her what was going on. And she's like, you know what? If you have a headache, sometimes your blood pressure can go up because your body's in pain. So she's like, I want you to take a Tylenol, lay down with your feet elevated. And if in an hour and a half or 2 hours, the headache is still there, come to the hospital and I'll be there waiting for you. And I was like, okay. Which I was praying that, I wouldn't have to do that. So I took my blood pressure once I got home, like 2 hours after I called the doctor's office. I took the medicine and I did what they told me. And my blood pressure just went up. It was like 154 over like 98 or something like that. So I told my husband, I was like, you know what? Let's just go to the hospital. So we went to the hospital. We took Matt to my parents' house. I never thought, I was like, okay, we'll just go to the hospital. They can check me out and we'll be back home. Okay, no big deal. Well, we get to the hospital. They put me in the triage room and they gave me the gown and everything. And they were checking my blood pressure like every 15 minutes for like a whole hour. The first blood pressure that they took was 178 over 104, which is really, really high. So the nurse was like, whoa, So they kept on checking my blood pressure. It kind of got down. That was the highest one I had. But still, it wasn't normal. It was like in the 150s. The lowest was like 140 something. So after 5 readings of my blood pressure check, the midwife came in and she was like, yeah, you're staying here and we're going to induce you to have the baby tomorrow at 38 weeks. And I was like, what? Like, are you serious? Something in my heart told me that the baby would come March 21st. Like, I would just tell my husband, I was like, I was born December 21st. This baby is just going to be born March 21st. But I never thought that it would happen like that. Like, I would be induced because my blood pressure was high, So then they took me into a room where the baby was going to be born and everything already. They gave me some magnesium sulfate. I think that's what it's called. That was to prevent seizures during the night because of my blood pressure. So after that medicine was put in the IV, like, they had to put a catheter because they said I couldn't even stand up to go use the restroom. That was painful, let me tell y'all. Whew. Jesus Christ. Like, my husband, when he saw that, I was like in pain, he went and sat down to the chair because he said he just felt lightheaded because he was seeing everything. So once it went in the IV, it's like I felt hot flashes. I was like sweating. I don't know. It was just crazy. Like, my legs were shaking. Then, since I had only dilated one, and I was going to get induced the next day around noon, they put this medicine in my, what. So the cervix going to start to get thin. I think that's what she said. I don't know. Half of this stuff I probably don't even remember. I'll try my best, but it was just so much that went on. So that was Tuesday night. They put that on, and then like I started to have a little bit of cramps during the night, but they weren't that bad. Like, they were tolerable. I think my pain tolerance is very high. So yeah, that was all night, and all night I was getting my blood pressure checked every 15 minutes. So it's like, I was just falling asleep and then the machine turns on and all of a sudden I wake up. Then every 3 or 4 hours, somebody was coming to draw my blood because they needed to see my magnesium levels. And all of my blood was drawn on my left hand because on my right hand they couldn't draw it because that's where the IV was. So that was fun. Wednesday, my mom comes to the hospital with my dad and Matt. My dad and Matt stay outside in the waiting room, and my mom comes in the room with my husband. And mom comes in the room where I was with my husband, and we stay there. And they started to put the Pitocin in the IV around 11:30. And I started to get contractions, but they weren't, again, that bad. For me, they weren't that bad. I was, handling it. I was like, okay, I did it once, I can do it again. But when that time for that epidural comes, I'm good or whatever. I was so confident. So yeah, 5 o'clock hits. And the midwife comes in and she checks me. And she says, you know what? You're at 4 centimeters now. So you can go ahead and get prepared to get an epidural. Are you going to want an epidural? I said yes. So who's ever had a baby before knows that when you're about to get an epidural, they have to do like the 2 bags of fluid in the IV before the epidural. So she said, we're going to do your first bag, and then after the second bag, you can go ahead and get the epidural. And she checked me and she said I was 4 centimeters, and she said, you'll have this baby before midnight. So I said, okay, I still got time, that was 5 o'clock. So my sister comes from work and she tells my mom, she says, can I stay in the room because you were already in here when Matt was born? And my mom was like, no, because only one more person can be in here besides, the dad. So my sister was like, oh, okay, I'll leave. And then my mom was like, but you know what, I'm hungry. So my mom decides to leave to go get some tacos. There's a taco place like 10 minutes away from where the hospital is. So her and my dad and Matt went to the taco place, and my sister stayed there with me and with my husband. So then I started to get contractions, like they started to get heavier and heavier and heavier, and I was just like, just breathe. So by the time the first bag was like almost over, it was like that much left in the bag. I couldn't take it anymore, like the pain. I told my husband, I was like, go and tell them that I need the epidural. So he went, and they were like, yeah, they're coming, she's not on her second bag. So as soon as they hang the second bag, like, they can go ahead and give it to her or whatever, because at least like the first bag has to go in there in her body. So my husband comes back, and I'm like, where is the person that's gonna put the epidural on me? And he's like, they called her and they said that she's on her way, blah, blah, blah. So this happened like 4 times. I told my husband, go and tell them, like, I can't take it. And then by this time, I was like leaning on my side, holding on to the bed rail. I just felt like I was gonna fall off the bed on the next contraction. And then so by like the 5th time, I tell my husband, like, by this time, y'all, I'm pissed. I tell my husband, I'm like, go and tell them that I need the epidural. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, they're not coming or whatever. So I'm like, Prieto. That's what they call my husband. I'm like, Prieto, I have to use the bathroom. And, they put pads under you. So he's like, well, use the bathroom. That's why you have pads. And I look at him like, are you dumb or something? I look at him and I'm like, not number 1, number 2. Like, I have to use the bathroom. And that's when his eyes get like super big and he's like, oh, So he looks at my sister and he's like, yeah, go tell them that. So my sister comes out the room and she tells them, like, my sister has to use the restroom. Like, she feels like she has to push. So then the nurse rushes in the room and she says, she's like, that was just like 15 minutes ago. I don't think that, 15 minutes ago that they checked you and you were only at 4 and, you need like to open till 10 before you can start pushing. So she was like, I don't think in 15 minutes you will dilate that much. And I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't even talking. Like, that's how bad it was. So she checks me. She's like, okay, open your leg up. And I'm like, I'm not going to lay on my back. And she's like, okay, just, open your legs and let me check you. So she checks me and she's like, that was her reaction. She was like, please don't move, don't do anything. The baby's head is like right here. So she pulls out a phone from her like little scrubs and she calls the doctor and she's like, doctor, I'm not gonna say her name, but doctor, your patient, the baby's head is like right here. She's fully dilated, +2. I don't know what that means, but she was like, she's fully dilated, +2, and like she didn't get the epidural or whatever. And when she said that, I opened my eyes because my eyes were closed this whole time. I'm gonna insert little clips that my sister we were gonna vlog the whole thing, but it happened so fast, like we couldn't. So so I opened my eyes and I'm like, what do you mean I can't get the epidural? She's like, no, honey, it's too late, blah, blah, blah. By this time, I'm like sweating bullets. So bless her heart. Like, she grabs a paper towel, like a towel with water, and she's over here, like, cleaning me. And she's over here, like, rubbing my head. And she's like, it's okay. You can do it. Because I'm panicking because I can't get the epidural. And I was so scared. Like, y'all don't know. Having a baby is already scary. Just the whole natural thing is more scary. So she's like, no, you got this, sweetheart, you got it, blah blah. And then I'm like, but I told y'all, I've been telling y'all I needed that epidural and nobody listened to me. And she's like, I know, but there's a procedure, like you had to get the bags in the IV, blah blah. And at this point I'm just like, where's the doctor? Because the doctor wasn't coming. She was the only nurse in the room. And for her to say that the baby's head was right here, I'm like, where's the doctor? And she's like, well, the doctor's coming. Since we called her 15 minutes ago, she was just going to take a bathroom break and get her stuff and come, but because she thought she was going to make it, she's like, but it happened so fast. So I'm like, there was another contraction coming in. I was like, I can't, like, I'm just gonna go ahead and push, because your body, it's so amazing. Like, your body, even if you don't want to push, it naturally makes you, like, the contraction, you feel it. It's so weird. Nothing compared to the epidural. With the epidural, you don't feel anything. So they're telling you to push and you push, but you're not feeling, like, you're not even feeling what part of your body is pushing. So then I was like, I'm just gonna push. And she was like, no, sweetheart, please don't. So the doctor is coming in the room already. They're getting like a whole bunch of people just come in the room, like 2 more nurses, and then like the pediatrician for the baby, and the nurse is getting the stuff ready for the baby. And then the doctor's coming in, like she's getting dressed as she's walking in the room, like she's putting on her gloves, and another nurse is preparing the bed. So my sister's like stuck in the room, like she can't, so many people came in, she can't walk back out, so she's stuck in there and she had to experience the whole thing, which she got kind of traumatized. But anyway, so the doctor's like, okay, lay her on her back, and the nurse was like, are you ready to receive that baby? Because once I turn her on her back, like the baby's just gonna come out. And I was just like, oh my God. So she's like, okay, hold on. So she's putting on like this little mask or whatever. And then she's like, okay, I'm ready. So they turned me over. By like the 3rd push, the baby is out. Yes, the baby is out. And with Matt, it took me 30 minutes. Like from the time they told me to start pushing till the time he was born, it took me 30 minutes of pushing. And with this one, it's like the 3rd push, boom, he's out. So the baby's born, everything seems fine. And then the next day, that was Monday, March 21st, he was born at 5:46 in the afternoon. So the whole process of me dilating and giving birth took about 40 minutes, because they were telling me to not push for such a long time because the doctor hadn't came, but I'm pretty sure he would have been born way sooner. Like, there's gonna be clips, like I said, of my sister trying to vlog it, and those clips were like at 5:22 p.m. and the baby was born like 20 minutes later. It was crazy. y'all can just tell I just look like I'm dead. Like, I wasn't screaming or anything because of the pain, because I know a lot of people like just tend to scream and stuff, but I was just like with my eyes closed, because if I opened my eyes I felt like the pain was gonna be worse for some reason. So I just was praying with my eyes closed, breathing, just telling Jesus to help me, that, you know, if his mom did it, I could do it too, and just to help me and everything, you know, so everything could be fine. So then the next day, that's when things kind of went downhill with me. The baby was fine. He weighed 6 pounds 2 ounces, 19 and a half inches long at 38 weeks. And then Thursday, March 22nd, around noon, my mom was there, and there was 2 ladies that went to go visit me, and they brought me lunch. And you know, I was like laying on the bed, not fully laying but kind of reclined, and I just felt like blood coming out and coming out and coming out, and I was like, what the heck, is this normal? And then I was like, yeah, it's normal, because the day that I gave birth, March 21st, so that day after the baby was born at 2 o'clock in the morning, so it was already March 22nd, one of the nurses came and she checked me, because they press on your stomach and then they check your bleeding. So when she did that, she was like, oh my God, why are you bleeding so much? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I haven't gotten up from the bed, because after I had the baby, they put the catheter back in there, because I had to stay on that blood pressure medicine for 24 hours after the baby was born. So then, after that, what else happened? After she checked me, she was like, I don't think this bleeding does not look good. And I was like, crap. So she called 2 more nurses and they came in. And one of the nurses was like, well, you know, she did have some tearing, and some of the places they couldn't stitch her because they didn't even put numbing medicine. So it might be that. So they like helped me, like they changed me, like the padding and everything. And they were like, no, yeah, it's normal, you know. So I'm like, okay. I kind of stopped worrying. So then March 22nd at noon, I noticed like a whole bunch of blood coming out. So I was like, maybe it's because they haven't like changed me, you know, because I couldn't get up from my bed. So the nurses had to do it. So I called them and I was like, hey, you know, I need a nurse to come help me. So they didn't come. And then like 2 hours later, I like lifted up my leg, and you know, you have that big old pad that they put on you, and then you have the like 3 or 4 pads on the bed, so it won't get, you know, messed up. So I lifted up my leg a little bit, and I look under my leg. Tell me why the pad that was under me, like on the bed, was like saturated in blood. And by this time, I'm like freaking out. So I call again. I'm sorry, my lips are chapped. It's too much going on. Anyway, so I called again, like the little red nurse button on the control thingamajig they have at the hospital, and I told them, I was like, hey, you know, this and this and this and this is happening. Can somebody come, like ASAP? So somebody comes, like the 2 nurses come, and they check me, and they're like, oh yeah, that's a lot of bleeding. No, they didn't say it was a lot of bleeding. They were like, yeah, it's normal, blah, blah, blah. So they put like new pad, new everything. Okay, I was good, fresh, you know. So an hour passes by, and I look again, and everything is like red again. So I call again. I was that patient. Room 2119. Oh Lord, that patient's calling. Anyway, so I call him again, and I was like, they came in the room, they're like, what's going on, mama? And I was like, look, it was just an hour that y'all changed me, and look, it's like bad again. So that's when they started to get worried. They were like, oh my God, yeah, that's a lot of blood, you know, we're gonna call the doctor and let her know what's going on, blah blah blah. So that was around 1:30 or 2, and then by 6 they took the magnesium out, the medicine for the blood pressure. Plus, on top of all that, they were still coming to draw my blood every 3 hours. So then, at 6, they took the catheter out, and they're like, you can stand up to go to the restroom now if you have to. I said, okay. At least I don't have that, tube in between my legs. Okay, so that was better. So by this time in the afternoon, my friends are there visiting me, and my mom's there. So the doctor comes in the room with the nurse, and she tells them if they can step out so that she can check me. The only ones in the room that could stay were my husband and, well, of course, me, duh. So then the doctor comes in and she checks me, and she's like, okay, look, this is what's going on. Your hemoglobin, your blood count went from a 12 to a 8 in a couple of hours. She was like, that's a lot of blood that you're losing. She said, we're gonna give you an injection for hemorrhaging. She said, hopefully this helps the blood clot. If that doesn't work, we're gonna have to put this, I forgot the name of the medicine, but it's like a medicine that goes through your rectum and that helps your uterus contract through the backside. If that doesn't work, she said, you're gonna have to get a DNC. But if the DNC, if we do the DNC, there could be a chance that you might not be able to have babies. Or if if you start losing too much blood during the surgery, I'm gonna have to take your whole uterus out, and I'm gonna have to do a blood transfusion while you're in the operating room. And I was just like, what? So and I asked her, I was like, doctor, am I going to die? And she looked at me and she didn't say yes or no. She just said, that's not the plan, baby girl. And I was like, I need you to tell me that I'm not gonna die, because I just had a baby. I have a 4-year-old, so I was like, I asked her again, I was like, I have faith in you, you're not gonna let me die, right? And she's like, that's not the plan, baby girl. So I'm just like, I could die. I can die. So she walked out, the nurse gave me the injection, and I was hoping that this would work. Well, when I wanted to go to the bathroom, I told my husband to help me up because I hadn't gotten up since Tuesday night, and this is already Thursday afternoon. So that was a long time that I hadn't stood up. So I asked him to help me stand up, and when I got to the bathroom to urine, the first thing that came out was 2 huge blood clots. I know this is TMI, but I'm just being real. They were the size of my hand. And I know my hand is not that big. I have little hands. But for a blood clot this big, yeah, 2 this big. So I called the nurse and I was like, look, there's 2 blood clots in the toilet. I don't know if you want to see them, if you have to tell the doctor about them or whatever. And she said, I can't tell her. I can tell her about it, but we don't know how big they are because they might look bigger in the water. And I was like, oh, they were the size of my hand. She's like, I know, if you're telling me that, I'll write it in the notes, but we really can't see how big they are. So I said, okay. So then I sat back down, and then 10 minutes later, I told my husband, I was like, you know what, I have to use the restroom again. So he came with me to the bathroom, and again, there was another blood clot that big. So I'm like, oh my God, this is not normal. My husband's trying to calm me down. He's like, no, it's the injection. It's probably because you had all that blood in your uterus and now it's clotting it. So now it's coming out. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just try to calm down. So then that was the second time. The third time I went to the bathroom, there was another one. But this was in less than 30 minutes, y'all. Less than 30 minutes, all this blood. But that one did stay on the pad. So I was able, gross, I know, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do when, you're trying to see what's going on with your health. the nurse told me to keep the pad there, to not throw it out, so she could see how big the clot was. This one was not even that big. This one was probably like that big only. So it was like half the size of the other ones. And the doctor came to see it, and she wanted them to draw my blood immediately. So they drew my blood, and she comes in the room and she tells me, she said, you know what? In just like an hour, your blood count went down to 7 instead of 8. She said, the injection isn't working. We're going to have to go with the other medication. If your blood count overnight stays at 7, then I could probably send you home with some strong iron pills. I said, okay, that works, you know. I didn't want to get a blood transfusion. So then, like, throughout the night, the rectum medication did work. It stopped the bleeding. I mean, I was still bleeding, but it wasn't like I was. It was like normal. So then after that, throughout the night, they were checking my blood count and the magnesium still. So in the morning, like at 4 o'clock in the morning, they did the last blood draw to check my blood count. And at 7, the doctor comes in and she said, I have to check your bleeding. And I said, could you hold that thought? Because I have to go to the restroom. She said, good. Don't flush it and leave the pad out because I need to see how much blood you're losing. I said, okay. So I left it there and I was like, you see, it's not bad. And she's like, yeah, it's not bad. She said, but your blood count is now at 6. So your blood count is very, very low. She said, I'm gonna have to do a blood transfusion on you. And I was like, but I don't need a DNC, right? And she said, not yet. Let's hope you don't need it. She said, but you do need a blood transfusion. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, okay, how much blood do I need? She said, we're gonna do 1 unit. And then like, I was like, okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm here. And if that's, whatever is gonna help me get better, just go ahead and do it. And she did it. And then like, she was walking out the room and she was like, you know what? Make it 2 units. So they gave me 2 units of blood transfusion. It took like 2 hours each bag. So I was there like for like 4 hours getting the transfusion. That helped me. Thank God. So y'all, whoever donates blood, thank y'all so much. I think I'm gonna start doing it because I have never been in a situation where, like if I wouldn't have gotten that blood, like I would have freaking like probably died. Because she told me, she's like, if you don't get the blood, you may feel fine, but you can just like pass out out of nowhere, even if you feel fine. So sorry y'all, it's these hormones and so if y'all donate blood, thank y'all so much. I'm gonna start doing it. So yeah, that was the roller coaster that I went through. My baby is waking up. It's time to breastfeed this baby. All right, guys, whoever, just wanted to let y'all know what happened, because I know on Facebook I said thank you for your prayers and not a lot of people knew what was going on. So that's what happened. But thankfully the baby's fine. I'm fine now. It was funny because the baby was ready to be discharged on like Friday morning, but they were waiting for me, so we didn't get discharged until Saturday afternoon. So I was literally in the hospital since Tuesday night all the way to Saturday afternoon. But yeah, I'm fine now. My blood pressure is still a little bit uncontrolled, but I am taking some medication for that. She said that I actually ended up having preeclampsia. So she said with preeclampsia, like your blood pressure can be uncontrolled for like 8 weeks. It's been more lower now. It's like in the 130s. Like today was 121/71. So we're doing good. Yeah, that was it. Bye.